Well, just for a change today, Deb, we are in the car.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But on the bright side, we are going to look at some bikes because it's the Classic Off-Road Show at Telford. So we're going to go down and check that out. Let's see how we go. The Classic Dirt Bike Show is held in Telford in Shropshire at the International Centre every February, and for many people marks the start of the show-going season. Not surprising, the show includes motocross, trials and speedway machines from all different eras from pretty much all over the globe, as well as Great Britain of course. But it's not just about looking at bikes, there's an auto jumble and some very handy stores on the inside too. Largely thanks to the association with Sammy Miller, the Ariel has always made a popular heavyweight trials choice, and there were plenty on show today. But as we know, bikes like the Ariel and the Enfield Bullet both represented the past of heavyweight trials machines. And the future would very much lie in lightweight machines like this BSA Bantam. And of course the Dot, a firm famous for its prowess in trials with their excellent Villiers-powered machines. The Dot was a company with lots of strings in their bow, as well as road bikes and trials that made this excellent Demon 1960s motocross bike. Scrambles to me and you. On the subject of motocross or scrambling, the mid-60s would see a plethora of companies building their own chassis into which they installed big British twins, or thumping singles of course. Perhaps the most famous of these is the Rickman brothers, who built their own chassis during the 1960s, which they dubbed the Matisse, or Mongrel. And indeed the machines are still being produced today under the Matisse name, and at the show there were some very nice examples fitted with Matchless's big thumper, but also some later machines fitted with the Bultaco two-stroke. There's no doubt the Matisse chassis is best known for its association with Triumph's big twins. Another famous chassis builder of the 60s was of course Eric Cheney, and as it turned out this very fine example belonged to Frank Melling. Frank was a successful motocross or scramble rider of the 1960s, as well as competing in enduro and other events, before becoming a successful motorcycle journalist and event organiser. And while we're there, he kindly agreed to have a few words with Deb.
So can you tell us about the Cheney?
Yeah, this is the Cheney I've had virtually all my life. It's a works frame and it's a factory BSA engine. My very, very good pal Fred Barlow, now sadly passed on, he bought me a full factory engine and it's a quick thing. It's the bike that I fell in love with my wife. I took her to her first ever motorcycle meeting with this bike and I won the 500 class. She took the trophy home, cuddling it. When we got home, I proposed to her. So I owe a lot to this bike. Later on, I won the Vintage Grass Track Championship on it. And all the stories are in my latest book, Scrambling for Successful Beginners.
So a lovely example of how bikes bring people together by Frank Melling. And it's true in our story too, although in our case it was only Honda CX. Now, not surprisingly, Greeves were very well represented at this show. It's always been a popular machine, and despite what some people may tell you, it's also a bloody good machine too. And there are those ignorant of the off-road community or ignorant of the British bike community who seem to think very lowly of these machines, and I think it's largely because of their quirky looks, but these are very capable and very successful machines. One of their best known off-road machines is the Hawkston, a popular motocross machine of the 1960s of course. There was also this lovely example of a later machine with conventional forks fitted with an engine of Greeves' own manufacture. The products of Clues Competition Motorcycles, or CCM, were very much in evidence. The early machines are best known for their use of the BSA B50 motor, which of course they evolved greatly over the years, before later moving to Austrian Rotax power, as well as other engines too. Cotton Owners Club bought a number of very nice machines, including this fabulous motocrosser, as well as a sizable number of trials machines. If, like me, you spent a lot of your time in the 70s watching programs such as Kickstart and Junior Kickstart, you'll be very familiar with some of these machines, including the Fantic and Ossa manufacturers, two makes that will be very familiar to trials fans of the 1970s. Given the success of Bultaco during the 60s and 70s, it wasn't a great surprise to see a number of their machines on show. While Bultaco would have success in such varied pursuits as Grand Prix road racing, they're best known for their trials bikes. And indeed, the majority of machines on show were trials models, although we did manage to find this Persang motocrosser. And of course, you can't talk about 60s motocross without mentioning CZ, those great pioneers of two-stroke success. Because all too often people talk about their dowdy 1970s commuter bikes, people often forget about their great contribution to the field of motocross, being the first to win a 500cc motocross world championship event with a motorcycle powered by a two-stroke engine. English poet Lord Byron was once described as mad, bad and dangerous to know. I'm not sure who wrote or said this, but I'm pretty sure that had he been around in the 1970s, most people would have assumed he was writing about Mako. Weird tanks, German Mako. In the last part of the 60s, Villiers of course stopped supply to outside manufacturers, which left specialist builders in a bit of a bind when it came to motocross and trials events. And while many would switch to using Puch or Puch engines, and others would use Bultaco, some made use of Japanese engines for this first time, which of course segues nicely into the Japanese motocross and trials bikes. Here we see a very nice classic Honda CR250, known to Americans of course as the Elsinore. But if the Honda isn't plain scary enough, then Suzuki may just fit the bill for you. Their early machines are evil handling and have an engine that massively outperforms what flimsy chassis there is. So exciting then. Now there were a lot of Yamaha off-roaders on show, but I thought we'd end on one of their more fearsome, the YZ490. We finished the show with a stroll around the Auto Jumble where they spotted this lovely CZ motocrosser, although there were a number of other machines there for sale, and power units too. So on reflection, while this isn't the biggest show in the UK, it's too specialised to be that after all. It is one of the better ones. There's some great machines on show, but perhaps even more importantly, you meet some great folk. What other bikes or collections of bikes would you like to see us cover in a future video? Perhaps you've got a bike we can use for a test ride. Either way, get in touch below. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, thank you very much for watching.